Welcome to Anxiety is Real, the one-of-a-kind podcast that takes all of the successful components of individual counseling specifically for anxiety disorders and creates a 10-session podcast model assisting children and adults in understanding and managing their anxiety effectively. This podcast was specifically designed by anxiety specialist and licensed therapist Kris, who with over 12 years of license experience and over 20 years of field experience has successfully helped hundreds of children and adults overcome their anxiety by utilizing this specially designed program. Now, without further ado, please welcome the host of Anxiety is Real, Kris.
Welcome to this week's episode of Anxiety is Real. Thank you for joining us today. We're happy to have you with us today to learn about anxiety. And wow, do we have a great show lined up for you today. It is about anxiety and how to help your children or how to help children with anxiety. Today we're going to talk about that and we're going to discuss specific techniques and ways that you can help your child or children manage their anxiety. So we're excited about that. And also, if you're not a parent, this could be helpful if you're a principal or a teacher, you work in daycare or childcare, or, you just want to know how to help kids out, in today's society. So we're excited to have you with us. My name is Kris, and I am a licensed therapist with over 10,000 hours of specialized experience, training, and life and anxiety. I'm co-owner of Genuine Counseling, and we opened Genuine Counseling in 2009 to help individuals deal with mental health challenges, anxiety, depression, ADHD, and we did that to help. And that's what we're here to do today, is to help you understand more about anxiety and, help you understand a couple things. Number one, that anxiety is normal and everybody has it. We've been really, really hammering that. And I think we're probably up to number 15 times that we've stated through the episodes that anxiety is normal. Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Marcus, and thanks for joining us today. Mr. Marcus, how's your day going, 1 to 10? Where are you at?
1 to 10, definitely an 8.
Eight's a good number, and hope it gets even better for you. And with that, thanks for all of your help. Mr. Marcus, also, just some feedback.
Mm-hmm.
You've heard us saying over and over again that anxiety is normal. And when you first heard that, what did you think when you first heard us talking about anxiety being normal?
Well, definitely my mind went to the sound, because it stops you in your tracks. It's like someone saying everything that everybody else says is wrong. This is what you should be thinking. And, normally that is not the norm.
Absolutely.
No pun intended.
No pun intended. So does it feel more normal now?
It definitely does.
Yeah.
And
how does that feel?
It's a relief. I mean, honestly, I believe for me personally, I believe my number came down a notch.
Nice.
From just a simple, reprogramming my mind to say, hey, this is normal. Which means I'm not abnormal.
Yeah, absolutely. You are far from abnormal. And I'm speaking from an abnormal standpoint as well. So,
yes.
Congratulations.
Thank
on
you,
that.
my friend.
Absolutely, and great job. So, that was a big point that we've been hammering, and I'm glad that Marcus has taken that, and I hope that you guys all have taken that in as well. And we've also talked about applying your number. For example, coming on the show and identifying 1 to 10 how high it was. We're going to talk about that scale today in more detail, because we're going to use that same scale to help children with anxiety as well. Why? Because it's helpful. Going back to a couple episodes ago, talked about, our communication patterns as a society. And when we're talking about our feelings, if we are talking about our feelings or how our day is going or how things are going, we are a good, fine, and okay society in our responses. And with that, we are limiting ourselves the opportunity to speak about how we truly feel and move through our normal feelings. So, rate that number again, 1 to 10. We also talked about applying the thoughts that you have control over um, into reducing your anxiety. What you're thinking cognitively. And we talked even last episode, we had a great episode about how important your thoughts are and how they impact, what how you feel and the actions that you make based upon those thoughts. That's why, we want you to get those thoughts together. And we also talked about, you know, coping skills and how they can be effective. And we got some shows in the future that are lined up, with that, that will help you out. But today's episode is going to be on helping your children with anxiety. And today it's a very, very relevant topic for many, many reasons. If I can remember back a long time ago, whenever I was in school, elementary, middle, and high school, I had anxiety. Everybody had anxiety. Once again, it was normal. But I promise you, it definitely was not talked about at the schools that I went to.
No,
Not at your schools either?
not even close.
Okay. In today's day and age, the kids who I meet with, they're wonderful, and I've been blessed to meet with countless amount of hard work and young people and adults. They tell me the same thing. Okay, that anxiety and feelings in general are not discussed, in their schools. And with that, it's 2018, y'all. What do you think about that? In fact, I just want you to think about that, that piece, because our goals for today, are going to be to come up with 3 techniques, strategies that will help reduce your child's anxiety or children's anxiety in general. And one of the things we want to discuss, and I want you to think about, is how school is different now than what it used to be. And I told you, back in the 90s is when I went to school, high school, middle school in the 80s, late 80s. I'm giving away my age here. Okay. And, with that, I told you, I had anxiety. Okay. Now I want you to think about school in today's age in 2018 and compare it a little bit. What do you think about it, Marcus? Tell me what was different about when you went to middle school or high school than today's, middle or high school.
I think it's very similar in a lot of ways. I mean, there's a lot of things that are still the same. I think the differences come in. Social media plays a big part in the children today, school, and the things that result from having those outlets and that exposure as well. That can create some anxiety because even though we can create profiles to be what we want them to be, we can't control people's reaction to those profiles.
So you're saying that the social media has increased the opportunity for people to be judged
Yes, and experience anxiety.
and
Correct.
experience anxiety. Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, that's a big, huge difference than back when I went to school. It's a good piece of feedback. Thanks, Marcus. When someone didn't like you at school, back when I went, it was tough for the day. Or if you got bullied, and I did a couple times, and I still can't stand bullying. I wish we could find a better way to deal with it. So we just didn't have it, and we were making progress with it. And I think we can, but we first have to identify it as a problem. But one of the benefits of going to school back when I did was you didn't have to see or be around, that bully all the time. In today's day and age with social media, it doesn't seem, kids and young people these days don't seem to get a break from, the harassment at times, and it's just a difficult topic because there's not an easy solution to the answer.
Correct.
The easy, solution for me is just to teach our young people to be respectful. That would be the ultimate solution. And I think we're making some strides there, but I think we have a lot of work to do. So I think that's a big piece of children's anxiety these days is worrying about what others think all the time or more than what we may have experienced, typically before the creation of social media.
Yes.
Okay, and the other one would be for me. I can tell you, on my finger, okay, the amount of school shootings that I've ever experienced or ever heard about or knew about. And obviously, that has changed drastically. And
Yes.
we've almost living to the day and age of acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I hear different, training platforms or education seminars in schools are actually, are the ones who are hosting these events on, lockdown, school, you know, schools and everything and what that means. And, you know, I just couldn't imagine, what that would be like. How about you, Marcus? What do you think about that?
I definitely could not imagine, what that would be like to have to go through those type of procedures, and you're going into an environment that should be safe, and there shouldn't be any threat to that safety. For you to be able to go in and learn and be educated and experience school. Um, I know for myself personally, I didn't run into any type of information about any type of school shooting and had any type of negative results from it until the Columbine incident.
Absolutely.
And once Columbine happened, now that was the first time that there was actually anxiety, fear, worry that something could happen at our school. Before that, and then I couldn't imagine knowing about it like up to the minute, like now when something happens, you once again, our media has grown so much.
Mhm.
It's progressively grown, so you can follow anything up to the minute and every single detail of it, and because we didn't learn that it had happened until the news was covered,
That's
and
right.
then you had to watch the
That's
news, and
right.
then and that sort of thing, and so
Find out information
right
after,
right after the fact,
not while they were going through it.
exactly, and then, and now sometimes it's even still a threat in some of these areas. So yeah, I definitely couldn't imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you again. But, that's the big piece that, our strategy, the first strategy, and we're going to, to transition into it, which may seem like it's unrelated, but it's not. When we talk about the challenges of today versus the challenges of yesterday, so to speak. And you hear, not so much anymore, but I do hear it every once in a while of, individuals who feel that the kids have it so easy and they have it so good and they should appreciate it now or you know they should enjoy it more than what than they do. And for me, this is a true story. If somebody came in and offered me $3 million to go back to middle school, I would tell them no thank you. 50 million, no thank you. There is no amount of money that anybody could pay me to go back to middle, elementary, and high school. And, with that, I didn't have any tragic or, out of the norm, experiences. But to be put into that situation to where you have all these kids who have to be there, who can be judgmental, downright mean, and, to not get a break from that and throw in there that some of them might be, school shooters at
Hmm.
this point.
Yes.
I have I just can't remember a time where it's ever been that case. So that is actually the transition into the first skill that I would like for you guys to try in helping children with anxiety, and that's empathy. Okay, that's compassion. That's for individuals who are struggling with enjoying school. There's reasons for it, and that old kind of saying that enjoy it now. I don't know if it's beneficial anymore, y'all. You might want to put that in the closet in the pantry or throw it away because I've never heard anybody say, "Well, you're right. I should." And then the message is good to be thankful for what you do have or what you don't have. But I think it discounts today, in today's age, of how difficult it is, for individuals who are students to go to school every day. And this is one of the reasons why, homeschool is exploding. Homeschool, I mean, I don't know, I don't have the numbers, but if you Google the numbers of individuals who are being homeschooled, it is increased, throughout the decades, and there's reasons for it. And going back to the Anxiety is Real, podcast, we want you to know that, yeah, anxiety is normal, and with that, if you're a concerned parent, then you're going to take action, sometimes if you don't feel like your school is safe, so we want you to feel validated. And I am happy that there are alternatives to, sending your child to school and praying that, they come home safe.
Exactly. You know what, Chris? I want to mention this too.
Yeah.
To your point, sometimes it's easy for us to look at today's generation and say what they have easier because of the luxuries that they have that we didn't have. However, to your point as well, you know, I used to want to be taller than what I am. Not very tall, right around average height, almost there. But I used to want to be tall because I played basketball. And so, being taller, yeah,
It helps on the hoop
it
floor.
helps, it gives you a little bit more of an edge.
Absolutely.
I'm a huge Carolina Tar Heels fan,
Mm-hmm.
and I saw Antoine Jameson at a game one time,
Okay.
and I walked up to him, and Antoine, I think I don't know, maybe 6'8" or more, somewhere around there, and I just looked up and I said, can I borrow just like 6 inches of your height? Yeah, dude, you'll still be 6'2". I said, okay, all right. I'm negotiating with him now. I said, all right, look, 3. Okay, it's still 6'5". Come on, man.
Right.
And he's laughing. He's just looking at me. This young guy this guy's crazy. But it's. I mention all of this because we see the growth, but we don't understand that with growth comes pain.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point.
So we see the growth in the advancements in technology and all these things, but there's a pain that comes from growth,
and we don't always see that.
We don't see it because we only experienced our growth, so we only knew about the few pains that was there in our growth. But you're looking at a growth that is exceeding our growth, but you have to think there's pain that comes with that too. There's consequences. There's some negatives there as well. And that's what our kids are facing.
Do you think we always understand that as a society?
Definitely not.
Yeah, and that's not what I'm hearing as well. I'm definitely hearing that, people don't understand, today's youth and today's population. And unfortunately, with all these the shootings that are happening, you're starting to see, students become more active and helping others understand their experiences and what they go through. And kudos to those individuals.
Exactly.
And we just have to, as adults, be willing to, once again, it's a great strategy for today's, for helping today's children with anxiety, is using compassion and empathy. And I used to hear someone say, walk in someone else's shoes 1,000 miles
Mm-hmm.
before you know what it's like to be them. And I think that's something that we could all be better at and do better at. And I think the outcome would be, great for the high anxiety in the individuals. And, going back to teaching kids to be respectful and holding them accountable to it.
Yes.
Is huge. The other piece that I want to get into is goes back to that piece on, understanding and knowing, how kids are doing. And that's just by showing care.
Wow.
How do we do that in today's day and age? We talked in prior episodes, asking them how they're doing, and I can guarantee you they're going to give you the same 3 responses of good, fine, and okay.
If you get a response at all.
If you get a response at all. And sometimes you have to chase kids down to get a response because, feelings can be so foreign. And we want you to have permission to chase them down and get your answer. It's because it's really, really, really important. But how you do that is by building that relationship. And this goes to parents we assume that parents always have great relationships with their children, but I'm here to tell you, y'all, you have to work at your relationship. You can't just assume that because you're the teacher, because you're in charge, that this child is just going to want to have a relationship with you or even know how to have a relationship, with you. And whose responsibility is that in today's society? You may not like today's answer. That's why I like that it's halfway into the session because we got you tuned in far enough. Okay, it's everybody's responsibility.
Yes.
Okay, we have to teach our children, you know, how to care, and the first way that we can do that is by showing them that we do care.
Everyone's farmers. Everyone has to plant seeds.
Everybody has to plant seeds, whether we like it or not, and that's what we're here for. I can remember being a school counselor, and I went into school counseling, to try to reach more individuals. I loved relationships, and if you don't have a good relationship, y'all, I'm here to tell you, if I can have a good relationship, anybody can. Okay, the formula and the ingredients are as easy as pie. Okay, and it starts with just getting to know someone. Back in the day, I worked for a middle school with over 600 students, and a lot of them were at risk, high risk, meaning that they had, things that would make them, um, actually, that would put them in a tough situation, which is where at risk came in. They can be simple as, uh, being abused, divorce, children of divorce, or losing a parent, losing a loved one. But you wouldn't know that. Children don't wear shirts that say, "Hey, I've never met my dad. I've never met my mom, or my mom's in jail." Once again, you have to get to know them. You have to show care. One of my favorite parts of showing that care was the simple recipe of asking them their names. Okay, and if you work at a school and you or you're a parent or a person who just wants to help children feel better, just asking them their name, you would be shocked at the responses and the faces that you would get from kids. Okay, and this was about 10 years ago, but slowly but surely, okay, what happens is it gives you an opportunity to show care. What I had to do with 600 plus students was to remember what their names were, Mr. Marcus. Okay, and I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of students, and it would take practicing, asking them over and over again. And by the way, at first the kids were a little bit taken off by the question, but then they started to really really like it because they seen what I was doing. Okay, I was showing care, and with that, I would also, and this was a role modeling opportunity. I would make mistakes. I would call them, by golly, the wrong name. Okay.
It's an honest mistake to make. I worked in middle school myself for a stint, and it's challenging. Any school, it's challenging.
Absolutely, but
Yes.
it's showing care, and it's also showing that I am human. I
Yes.
never professed, and I never will, profess to be anywhere near, not even perfect, good enough.
Right.
Okay, that's what I strive for. So going back to that piece, asking them their names, okay, and getting to know their names. Now, if this is your child, this is a little bit more advanced because obviously you're going to know their names really well.
I hope so.
Absolutely. And, with that show and care is just asking them how their day was, going back to that place, that piece of rating that number, 1 to 10, how was your day?
And I can attest that absolutely helps. It helps you in memorization because you make it more personal. If we have more of a personal connection, I'm going to remember your name. And I can remember that's what helped me with the kids in my class and the kids that were in the program, period, is that during cafeteria time or during, the time where we were doing, PE kind of activities, physical activities, I would make it my business to mingle and go up to them and say something, you know. And then we had those that I had to say something to, and of course I memorized their names a lot quicker than the ones that were quiet, and you know, I didn't have to say a lot too. But I started making it my purpose to go up to them and just say, "Hey, I see you eating. How you enjoying your food, Margaret? Hey Samuel, how's your homework coming along? And before long, it's second nature."
Absolutely. And, think about this for a minute too. You may be the only individual who this child feels cared about.
Wow.
And that is happening, more and more now than ever. And I can tell you firsthand that it makes a difference. I can't tell you the number of times where I've been approached by those individuals 10 years later, and individuals, with their testimony of, hey, I remember how, you used to try to get my name right and you always screwed it up. And we would laugh together. And I said, if you would only be so privileged to know what else that I screwed up. And I said, the list isn't short and we don't have enough time today. But their message was, you don't know how much of a difference that made that you even cared. And walking out there knowing that I tried to make a difference with individuals, it did make a difference. And I'll tell you what else it did as a school for me. So if we have some administrators listening in, some principals listening in, colleges listening in, as a school counselor, for me, my job and one of my roles as a counselor is the best interest of the child. Okay, so I had 600 plus best interests walking around at one time.
Wow.
Whenever I asked someone how their day was going, 1 to 10, when we start to get to know each other, I knew their names and I got their names right. Then I started asking them 1 to 10 how their day was. If they told me a 2, okay, and this is one of my high flyers, so to speak, to where might be a student who got in trouble a lot, wreaked havoc on bad days and stuff, then what I would do is take note and say, hey, can you come down? Can you wait here just for a second? And I'm sorry you're having a bad day, but can you just wait here until this morning, car driver or bus duty is over? And then we had a chance to talk. And you know what? That helped out tremendously, and it cut down on the individuals getting in trouble, kept the school safer. And once again, it built a culture of care. Okay. And that culture of care, it's got to be, like Marcus said, it has to be something that's farmed. Okay. It has to be, something that is planted, nourished. You can't just expect, those great flowers to pop up. You have to give them, sunlight. You have to give them, water. That's how, we grow. And to be more caring as a society, then we as adults have to take a role with that. Okay, so going back to that, it's asking, and getting to know people on a deeper level. It's asking your children how they're doing, 1 to 10. Another version of that is I heard a rose and a thorn of the day at the end of the night. A lot of parents will tell us, they'll go in and, ask their children or their child, what was the rose of the day? And it might be something like, man, I didn't get any homework whatsoever. And I was like, oh, man, that's got to feel good. So congrats and, way to go. What's the thorn of the day? The thorns can range from, I got a D on a test to, I got beat up in the bathroom by 3 kids who have been bullying me all year.
Wow.
And think about how important that would be for you as a parent, as a person, to be able to tell someone who cared, who created that culture of care, that everything's going to be okay, but we need to know what's going on.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, and the last one is helping individuals talk about their anxiety. Going back to that, it's one of those things to where, if you have a good sit down dinner tonight or a good lunch on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you're having some discussion, you may want to, have some discussion about anxiety, about stress. Why? I think we've talked about it once or twice or 16 times now that anxiety is normal. Okay. And, with that, we want to help our children. We want to help our kids understand that it is a normal feeling. In fact, one of the best things that schools can do these days, parents can do, is to normalize that feeling. And I don't mean to not justify it and not to find individuals help, but you want to help them understand that everybody has these feelings. In fact, I would put put it in the hallways at the school. Having anxiety is real, is normal. Club to where they put signs in that says anxiety is normal, and if your anxiety is high, talk to someone. Just anecdotes that would have individuals and students, feeling okay as opposed to there's something wrong with me. Okay, so we want you scaling that as well. That's going to come in time. After you have that discussion about, what you get anxious about, or when, as a parent, and you're the mom, and you're talking about, when you have anxiety. We don't want you to say, "Oh no, I don't have anxiety. No, no,
right.
no. I have, faith all the time, and I never worry." By the way, no, because they know that to be a bold lie. Okay. And with it, the better that you can become in talking and being aware about your anxiety, the more that you can help your child. So you may even get to the point to where after you have a discussion about it, okay, you come up with a list of, actually, I'm giving away the homework assignment, so I'm not going to get into that just yet because it's a good one. And we're going to put 50 points on the line for this next homework assignment. Yep.
Yes.
More points. So, with that, we just want you to be able to scale that with them. 1 to 10, how high is your anxiety? And once they give you that number, do not run. Do not, jump out of your chair. Hear it, validate it. And then if needed, talk about it, and then, reach out to a professional if it's persistent more than 2 weeks. So, with that in review, the 3 strategies that we talked about today, man, it was a really good topic. And this is part 1, by the way, of helping your child with anxiety. So if you feel like, you wanted more information, we got you covered on that because we know it's a comprehensive topic. So those 3 areas, were 1, giving your children compassion and empathy, and giving children, compassion and empathy, and understanding that, today is an anxiety provoking time. There's a lot of things happening that are out of a lot of people's controls, and it doesn't feel very, very good. So, with that, we want you to we want you to encourage you to be compassionate and empathetic towards, children and people. The second one is get to know, children, and get to know your children, asking them how their day's going, you know, asking them, what was the best part, or if anything could be going better. We want you to build these arenas of care because they will yield you good results. And the last one is strategy is talking about their anxiety, creating that platform like we've done for you with the podcast. We want you to create that platform with your child to talk about anxiety. We want you to be the ones passing this message on that anxiety is real and anxiety is normal. And, with that, rating that 1 to 10, anxiety, and then evaluating it. Okay, you do those things, that in itself will help in building that culture of care. So today, homework assignment wise, I know you guys are all waiting for this on how can we get more points. So we're trying to, get our prize. We're trying to be that A student. So the homework assignment is to identify 10 things that you and your family can do to deal with anxiety. 10 ways. Okay, now they got to be healthy ways, y'all. They can't be, well, we can all, quit going to school and, quit going to work and stuff and just worry all the time. Obviously that's going to, like we talked about in past episodes, yield you more worry, doubt, and anxiety, and that's not going to be healthy for you. So we want them to be productive. It could be going to a movie together. It could be going for a hike together. It could be, jumping on one leg for a minute straight in the kitchen. I mean, be creative. The message is that anxiety is normal, and we want to work together on ways to come up with ways to deal with it effectively. So if you can do that for next episode, 75 points will be awarded to you. And once again, we thank you for joining us today. It was a great show. We thank Genuine Counseling, our sponsor, for this segment of the show. They encourage you to call an appointment to schedule and talk with a full licensed counselor who can help you and your family deal with anxiety. And call today and schedule an appointment and mention the code Anxiety is Real and receive $25 off your first appointment. Thank you for joining us today. It was great. Special shouts to Marcus for his divine assistance and Genuine Counseling for sponsoring the program. Remember your homework assignment. You want those points. And great job today, everyone. We wish you a great week filled with heightened awareness, great self-care, and all the success and happiness that comes with it. We'll see you next time.
Thank you for joining us for another exciting episode of Anxiety is Real. We'd like to thank our sponsors, Opay Media Group and Genuine Counseling Services. Genuine Counseling Services would love to connect with you and help further assist you in your anxiety goals. Please reach out to them at www.genuinecounselingservice.com. That's genuinecounselingservice.com. We hope you enjoyed the broadcast. Until next time, we wish you a great week filled with heightened awareness, great self-care, and all the success and happiness that comes with it.